Hello, beautiful people. This is part 2 of how to turn your kitchen into a restaurant kitchen. The first part I showed you some of the sauces. I showed you how to have vegetables prepared ahead of time, how to have pastas prepared ahead of time. This part 2 is showing you 3 sauces you cannot live without in the kitchen. And it doesn't have to be just for pasta. It's also for other dishes, which I'm going to show you. So it's the aglio e olio, the garlic and oil. I've showed you that 100 times. The bechamel, from which we get the Alfredo. I've never shown you that one. And then I'm going to show you, I'm not showing you the marinara because I've showed you that 5 million times. Okay, let me start with the, what we need is marinara or tomato sauce as a must in the kitchen. Number 2, we need the aglio e olio as a must in the kitchen. And number 3, we need the bechamel as a must. Make them ahead of time in the refrigerator. Okay, let me show you the marinara first, or the tomato basil. If you are making the basic tomato sauce, like I've showed you, look at my meatball video I did a few days ago. I showed you the tomato basil sauce. Okay, use tomato puree. Okay, and then if you're doing the marinara, you're using crushed tomatoes. Look at my meatball video for that. Okay, let's start now. I'll talk more about those later. I must have shown like 10 videos on how to make the marinara sauce. Okay, now we're going to make the first sauce you need to have always in your kitchen. Do it on the spot or have it ahead of time. See? This is going to go in the refrigerator. It's already ready. Makes your meal a 5-minute dinner meal into a 2-minute dinner meal, okay? This now is going to be for 2 people. 1, 2. You can do less, you can do more. Olive oil, okay? Garlic and oil, put a little bit of salt and pepper. And chopped garlic. Remember I say have chopped garlic and oil. A little bit in here. Now watch. Chopped garlic and oil. This is aglio and olio. What people a lot of times do, and they don't know why their garlic and oil comes out all greasy and dry, is because they don't add the liquid. This is a key. Okay, it's done. Taking it off the oil, and then you add broth. Now, in Italy, they'll add pasta water, but you add broth, and it's so much richer. Aglio e olio, sauce number 1. I'm going to show you 2 things to make out of that in a minute. Now, put this over here on the side. Now, I'm going to show you the bechamel. Bechamel is a French sauce, but the Italians use it, the Greeks use it, the French use it. And what it is a white sauce. It's made with butter and flour and milk. I'm not going to use butter. I'm going to use oil. Look, oil, instead of a little bit of oil. 1 heaping tablespoon of flour. Okay, I'll put a little bit of salt. This is called a roux, if you want to get fancy. Thickening agent of fat, which is butter usually, or oil, and flour. And now you're cooking the flour in this oil. The bechamel is when you add milk. Bechamel in Italian cooking is when you make the lasagna bolognese, which is you make the bolognese sauce and you layer it with bechamel, bolognese sauce, the noodles. Bechamel, bolognese sauce, the noodles. That's the bolognese lasagna. Bechamel is also used, I'm going to show you, for my version of Alfredo, because in Italy, you get 2 different things. They either use heavy cream or they use egg yolk and a lot of butter. I did this for our restaurant. My dad and I invented how can we make it at the restaurant in Coronado when we added Alfredo to the menu because it was becoming a popular sauce. And this is what we came up with. We did butter and oil, but I reduced it more than 3/4 of what we were doing in Coronado. And I instead of using a half and half, I went to milk and a lot less oil. Okay, we're waiting for this. See how it's getting thick? You're cooking the flour. Okay, now, a little bit of oil, 1 heaping tablespoon of flour, 2 cups of milk. And let's start with 1.5. This is bechamel. Put a little bit of nutmeg in it. This is bechamel. The reason I want to show you this is because from the bechamel, the white sauce, this is how you make turkey gravy. You're making a turkey dinner and the scrapings at the bottom. You make this sauce, you throw the scrapings in at the end. Or you don't want to wait for the scrapings, you throw in turkey broth and you have turkey gravy. Same thing with chicken gravy. You throw in the chicken broth and the chicken scrapings. Same thing for beef gravy if you're making a roast beef. Okay. I put like 1.5 till it thickens, okay? Bechamel, if you're doing Greek, you put dill and lemon and some broth. Okay, now look. See how this thickens? This is bechamel. We are going to make Alfredo out of it, which as I've shown you before. See how it's thickening? Now Alfredo. 3/4 cup of Pecorino Romano. Now, so you make out of the bechamel, you make chicken gravy, turkey gravy, beef gravy. You also make, if you put cheddar in here and you put pasta in, you have mac and cheese. This is Alfredo, and this is the Alfredo sauce. Now, a lot of people aren't fans of Alfredo. I'm not that big of a fan of Alfredo. I don't like thicky sauces, but this is pretty low in fat compared to what they usually make them, because they make them with cream and a lot of butter. Here I did oil and milk. I did a flour substitute. This is bechamel that I turned into Alfredo. Always have this in. This is done. See, it's got to boil like that, and it's done, okay? So you don't want to make fettuccine Alfredo, shrimp Alfredo. You don't want to make lobster, mac and cheese with lobster. You don't want to do any of that. I'm going to show you sauces you make with this, okay? And what we're going to do, this is tomato basil that I made from this and this. This is cream of broccoli, no cream, that I made from this and broccoli. But I'm going to show you here truffle, mushroom, cream of mushroom, truffle soup, okay? And I'll show you how you do it. Using the Alfredo, the bechamel, okay? You get a small pan. We're putting 1 cup of chicken broth, 1/2 cup of minced sauteed mushrooms already made, pureed raw onion, and you're going to stir this, and this is where you do the thickening agent. What do you have here? Look, cream of mushroom soup with truffle oil. That's how fast, if you have this on hand. I did a Bella series of soups last year, maybe a year and a half ago. I did the Bella broccoli, Bella mushroom, Bella peas, and this is a Bella mushroom. Bella because it doesn't have cream, it's creamy, and you make it with a sauce you already have. You can add just a little bit more. And here is your cream of mushroom. The thing that makes this unique is you have pureed raw onion in here. This comes to a boil, and then now I'm going to add truffle oil, just a drop. And so you have cream of mushroom with truffle oil. Soup. All this came from making the bechamel, the Alfredo. Like I said, this is for pasta, fettuccine Alfredo with chicken, with shrimp, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to do pasta, you can make soups out of this. You don't want to make soups, you want to make vegetables. You pour this over, you boil broccoli for 3 minutes, you pour some of this over it, put breadcrumbs in the oven, au gratin. Same thing with cauliflower. This is what I did for asparagus at our restaurant. We have salmon in a light pesto Alfredo with fresh asparagus with this sauce over it in a light pesto Alfredo. I added the pesto Alfredo to this sauce, poured it over the asparagus, which was over the salmon. Okay, see how this is boiling? And here is your cream of mushroom soup with truffle oil. So from this, I showed you garlic and oil. I'm going to show you two things with this. I showed you the bechamel from which we get the Alfredo. And from that, instead of making pasta, you can make these 3 soups. Tomato basil. For tomato basil, what I did here, 1 cup of marinara, 1 cup of broth, half a cup of this, and the pureed onion. Bring it to a boil, and this is what you get. And then at the end, you throw in the tomato, you throw in the garlic basil. You see how this is boiling here? And now this is done, okay? Three beautiful, lighter, greener, leaner soups. Tomato basil, cream of broccoli, cream of mushroom with truffle oil. All from this. That's why this sauce, you have the sauce in the kitchen. This, I have one in the freezer. I put this in the refrigerator. I have, no time to cook, don't want to spend time cooking. We have to ignore that, sorry. And you come here and you have it in a few minutes. Okay, now let's go here. Now, the next sauce, this is the garlic and oil. What are we doing with the garlic and oil? Garlic and oil sauce. I'm gonna make a frittata. Watch this. I sauteed spinach. This is the garlic and oil that I made here, half the amount. I sauteed, this is boiled spinach for 3 minutes, very well drained. Okay, just like this. So the garlic and oil, half of that. I put in a boiled spinach, 3 minutes, drained it real well through the garlic and oil in here. A lot of times when people are making frittata, they throw in unsauteed spinach or frozen spinach. No. Okay, here's the frittata. Watch. A little bit of oil. Get it real hot. I'm showing you the frittata, how you use the 3 basic sauces you use in olio and olio to make a frittata and not a pasta dish. Okay. This gets hot. You get 3 eggs, scramble it with a little salt, 2 heaping tablespoons of pecorino romano. This gets hot. And this is your frittata. This is like 4 cups of spinach that I boiled 3 minutes, drained real good. Put the garlic and oil in it. This is your frittata, okay? Now, you can do this with zucchini, you can do this whatever you want. Okay. Lift it up, like here. Lift it up. Let the egg cook. Lift it up. Lift it up. Lift it up. Bring the egg down like this. So, with garlic and oil, you sauteed, boil the spinach, put the garlic and oil, aglio olio in it, put it in the mixed. And you have a frittata. This is why I'm saying, okay, you're supposed to flip this whole thing, but I'm going to rush it because the video is going to be too long. Frittata. Add sausage to it. In the egg, add mushrooms, zucchini. Here's your frittata. And you have frittata that we made. I'm going to put this in the oven till it settles more. And frittata. Now, last thing I'm going to show you before I bring it together. I can't stress enough the importance of having this stuff on hand. You make an aglio and olio, it's 3 minutes, but you have it already on hand, and it's 10 seconds. Okay, this I made just like this. Now say tonight, what are we going to eat? I always have sauteed hamburger. I just put it in my old broiler oven. Saute it, salt, garlic, onion, a pepper, and just turn it over a couple times and it's done. I did the same thing with the mushrooms. Okay, now watch this. This is what we're going to eat tonight. I have 1 cup of hamburger, 1 cup of mushrooms already done, 1 very ripe Roma tomato, pasta, and this is dinner for tonight. So instead of having a 5-minute meal, you have a 2-minute meal. Why? Because you have all this stuff prepared ahead of time. This is tagliatelle. I had it made a few days ago. I just boil it, parboil, al dente. Cool it and put it in there. A little bit of broth. So, what have I shown you? Shown you the bechamel from which you make the Alfredo, which you make 3 soups. Also make a whole slew of pastas or vegetables with this sauce. If you don't add Romano, you add cheddar, you have mac and cheese sauce. If you add chicken broth and chicken drippings, you have chicken sauce. You'd put half of this in with the broth. You wouldn't put all this in with the broth. Okay, and then I have here fresh parsley, already done. And then I have the basil and garlic, the pesto. You guys, it's easy cooking. Like I said, you go to Costco, what are they selling? Everything already prepared. Why? People don't want to spend a bunch of time in the kitchen. You can be a very skilled cook and still spend very little time in the kitchen because you're setting your restaurant up your kitchen up like a restaurant kitchen, where everything's prepared ahead of time. They have soups prepared ahead of time at a restaurant. They don't make them to order. They have the sauces prepared ahead of time. Okay. Done. Ready to eat. So, what have I shown you? Part 2 of the how to make your kitchen like a restaurant kitchen. 3 sauces you can't live without. The bechamel, which is turns into Alfredo. The aglio e olio, which turns into pasta dish or frittata. And the marinara, or the tomato basil, depending on if you use crushed tomato or tomato puree. This is the Great Value brand from Walmart. The best. That's all I have to say. The best. People will knock Walmart? No. But they provide a tremendous service to people. Okay, here it is. There we go. This came from the garlic and oil, the aglio e olio. This came from the aglio e olio. The bechamel Alfredo. These 3 came. Cream of mushroom, cream of broccoli, tomato basil. All came from these 2 sauces. It doesn't have to be pasta. That's it. I hope I made it clear. I've been heavy trying to figure out how to organize this whole thing for you, but little tidbits. Remember, always have, if you have these 3 sauces, you have your vegetables done ahead of time, you have meats already done ahead of time, mushrooms done ahead of time. Then when you come to assemble, it's less than a 5-minute meal to put it together. And it doesn't have to be pasta. This can be put over vegetables and made into soups. The aglio e olio can be made into frittata. This aglio e olio is what you use for all the sauteed vegetables. String beans, cauliflower, broccoli, zucchini, spinach. It all has the aglio e olio. I'll start with that and you saute it. That's it. God bless you.